Alright man, listen up. We did the Commanders a few days ago. Let's keep the train rolling with my favorite cards from the 99. Now listen, this doesn't mean that they're the best cards or the most effective, but these are the cards that opened up or cemented an archetype that I like, or gave a unique spin on established design in 2023. Bottom line, these cards are fun. Yeah, come on man, here we go. It's 2023, dude. If you're not running Cankerbloom, what are you doing out there? It's 1 and a green for Phyrexian Fungus. It's a 3/2. Has 1 sacrifice to choose 1. Destroy target artifact, destroy target enchantment, or proliferate. Talk about versatility, man. This guy is the athlete's foot, and he achieves sentience. He has arms, and he's a 3/2 for 2 mana. That's great, but it also sacrifices itself to kill a problem permanent. Sir, that's not a Cankerbloom. That's my son. The Mithril Coat. This is going to keep you warm when you're getting stabbed up in the mines of Moria, dude. It's 3 generic mana for a legendary artifact equipment with flash and indestructible. When this guy enters the battlefield, attach it to target legendary creature you control. Equipped creature has indestructible, has equipped for 3. This is pretty much just a straight upgrade for Dark Steel Plate. Minus the equip cost, this costs 1 more to equip, but you have that auto equip on ETB. This thing is a lifesaver in so many decks. I love this card, but the cheapest version is about $8. Hey man, take a look at the Conduit of Worlds. This guy's an artifact. You may play lands from your graveyard. Has tap, choose target non-land permanent in your graveyard. If you haven't cast a spell this turn, you may cast that card. If you do, you can't cast additional spells this turn. Activate only as a sorcery. This does a ton of work in a landfall deck. We all know Crucible of Worlds is good in those decks. Get your expensive fetches back, you degenerate monster. This is 1 more mana and has that really odd second ability. It's only really good if you need a combo piece or some other important card in the graveyard. But that's it for turn, man. Very situational. But honestly, it's gravy on this roast turkey of a card. Man, I used to go play around in the Mycosynth Gardens when I was a kid and I got a Cankerbloom on my foot. This is a sphere. Has tap to add colorless or 1 and tap, add 1 mana of any color. Big deal, that's garbage. But it has X and tap, and this becomes a copy of target non-token artifact you control with mana value X. You know, the floor on this thing is to become a copy of your Soul Ring, your Arcane Signet, something like that. It's interesting, it's a free roll land that can be really good in an artifact deck. Kami Whispered Hopes. This guy is 2 and a green for a creature spirit. It's a 1/1. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on a permanent you control, that many +1/+1/+1 counters are put on that permanent instead. Has tap, add X mana of any 1 color, where X is Kami Whispered Hope's power. This thing is just a baby head and some creepy yoga hands. Dude, he's juggling the mystical shapes. He does a ton for 3 mana. I love mana dorks, and this is a diesel little mana dork with a redundant hardened scales effect. I love this thing. And speaking of redundancy, we got the Ozolith, the Shattered Spire, 1 and a green for a legendary artifact. If 1 or more +1/+1 counters would be put on an artifact creature you control, that many +1/+1 counters are put on it instead. I think I missed a +1 there. Has 1 and a green and tap, put a +1/+1 counter on target artifact or creature you control, activate only as a sorcery. Has cycling for 2. Look at all the abilities on this 2 mana artifact. Why aren't you running this thing in your counters decks, dude? Fitting that this is all right below the Kami because they have a similar ability. Your counters decks just got some juice this year, man, and I love it. Look at this. Look at all the tentacles out there for you hentai lovers. Breach the Multiverse, 5 black for a sorcery. Each player mills 10 cards. For each player, choose a creature or planeswalker card in that player's graveyard. Put those cards onto the battlefield under your control. Then each creature you control becomes a Phyrexian, in addition to its other types. This card is a powerhouse in your mill decks, your reanimator decks. You know, honestly, this is bonkers for just 7 mana. Looks a little suggestive though, you know, looks like some dank fallopian tubes out there, some other scandalous organ arrangement. Oh, look at this guy, he's gonna punch you right in the dang frenulum, dude. You got Tyvar out there, Jubilant Brawler. 1 black and a green for a legendary planeswalker. It's a Tyvar with loyalty 3. You may activate abilities of creatures you control as though those creatures had haste. Has +1 untap up to 1 target creature. It also has a -2. Mill 3 cards, return a creature card with mana value 2 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. This is a very similar ability to 1000-Year Elixir, which is colorless and can go in any deck, but doesn't look as cool as this weirdo out there. This guy has the Iron Fist, man. He's gonna punch your fallopian tube right out. And this guy, I wouldn't want to have a beer with him. He's just a Horde and Broodlord. 5 black for a creature dragon. It's a 7/6 with Convoke and flying. When this guy enters the battlefield, search your library for a card, exile it face down, then shuffle. For as long as that card remains exiled, you may play it. Spells you cast from exile have Convoked. Listen, This is Rune-Scarred Demon, but it's a dragon. Damn it, this should be a $2 card, but it's a $1 card because you're all fools out there. This is a dang zinger of a card, and it deserves a little more respect, man. See double, 2 blue for an instant. This spell can't be copied, don't even try. Choose one. If an opponent has 8 or more cards in their graveyard, you may choose both. Copy target spell, you may choose new targets for the copy, or create a token that's a copy of target creature. If you aren't seeing double out there, I don't know what you're doing with your life. You're wasting it, that's what you're doing. This is a solid, versatile, and neat card that you should take a look at, you loser. Now this is what Magic is all about right here. The Gaffer, 2 and a white for a legendary creature, a halfling peasant. He's a 2/3. He's just a little guy, man, but he's trying real hard. At the beginning of each end step, if you gain 3 or more life this turn, draw a card. This guy grows taters and he looks like a dang tater tot. This is such a great card in those white life gain decks. Come on, man. Plus, he's the pinnacle of potato evolution. He achieves sentience, he's walking around, he's a dang potato. Boil him, mash him, stick him in a stew. And this is Forge Anew, 2 and a white for an enchantment. When Forge Anew enters the battlefield, return target equipment card from your graveyard to the battlefield. As long as it's your turn, you may activate equip abilities anytime you can cast an instant. You may pay 0 rather than pay the equip cost of the first equip ability you activate during each of your turns. So listen, what you're going to do is you're going to swing in for an attack, and your idiot buddy over there is going to say, I'm going to block it with this guy. And then you're going to equip some big equipment to it at instant speed for 0 mana, and then you're going to win, brother. This is a solid equipment reanimation effect. Makes your equipment do some other neat stuff. Solid enchantment and equipment deck. You should give it a try. I want to know what the art direction was for the Armored Scrap Gorger. This is 1 and a green for a creature, Phyrexian Beast. It's a 0/3. It gets +3/+0 as long as it has 3 or more oil counters on it. Oral counters on it, you know what I'm saying? Tap and add 1 mana of any color. When this guy becomes tapped, exile target card from a graveyard and put an oil counter on it. It's a dang Phyrexian Anteater. It's a 2 mana dork, and it's graveyard hate. Come on, dude. Now here comes the boss, Bruce Springsteen, Archfiend of the Dross. 2 black for a creature, Phyrexian Demon. It's a 6/6 with flying. Archfiend of the Dross enters the battlefield with 4 oil counters on it. At the beginning of your upkeep, remove an oil counter from it. Then if it has no oil counters on it, you lose the game. But whenever a creature an opponent controls dies, its controller loses 2 life. Come on, dude. Are you afraid of losing the game during your upkeep? This is a 6/6 for 4 mana, and that last ability is nuts. Very slept on card. The game's going to be over by the time this thing makes you lose the game anyway, in my humble opinion. You got to run it with sack outlets and instant speedways to get rid of your own creatures. Alright, I got a couple more for you here. The Auton Soldier, 4 blue for an artifact creature, Alien Soldier. It's a 0/0. You may have this guy enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature on the battlefield, except it isn't legendary. It's an artifact in addition to its other types, and it has Myriad. So you can copy your commander, dude, because this isn't going to be legendary. This is a no-brainer for commanders that have ETB effects, static abilities to let you do something, and, you know, a whole bunch of other decks too. This is just a guy in a suit. He's out there causing havoc on the streets. And then we have Quantum Misalignment, 4 and a blue for a sorcery. Create a token that's a copy of target creature you control, except it isn't legendary, and it has a rebound. 5 mana, that's a lot, man, but I just wanted to point out, we get non-legendary versions of our commander twice in this godforsaken abomination of a Doctor Who set. Damn Martha Stewart out there is trying to put her moves on you, brother. Hey, listen, just sit here, appreciate this art for a minute. But that's it, man. 15 cards you should look at for your commander decks, and these aren't going to be the most powerful ones out there. That'd be a real boring list to, oh, I just did all the Soulfim, the Mayhem Dominus, and all this kind of crap, dude. These are under the radar, man. They're flying low, buddy. Right under your taint into your commander decks. Straight from Nikki G from Better Commander. And that's me. And I'm signing the heck out of here.